You know the scariest betrayal is not when a stranger steals from you. It is when someone eats dinner at your table, sleeps under your roof, smiles in your face, and quietly empties your wallet while you are asleep. I have spent more than 10 years exposing lies for a living, but nothing prepared me for discovering that the biggest investigation of my career would begin inside my own home. What happened next destroyed a family, exposed decades of hidden secrets, and forced everyone to choose between protecting the truth or protecting each other. My name is Claire Bennett, and for more than a decade I worked as an investigative reporter. Finding lies was my profession. I could spot missing details, suspicious behavior, and stories that did not add up long before most people noticed anything was wrong. I always believed those skills would protect me in my personal life. I was wrong. The night my husband's sister quietly slipped a credit card out of my purse while I slept upstairs, she unknowingly made the biggest mistake of her life. By the time I woke up the next morning, $9,000 had disappeared. Flights, expensive electronics, new clothes, and a dream vacation for her children had all been purchased before sunrise. When I confronted the family with undeniable evidence, my father-in-law looked me straight in the eyes and calmly said she would never do something like that. In that moment, everyone believed they could pressure me into staying silent. What none of them realized was that Rachel had taken my company credit card instead of my personal one. That single mistake changed everything, because the truth was no longer mine to bury. Rachel had been living with us after losing her apartment. I welcomed her because I cared about her children and believed everyone deserved a second chance. But before long, money started disappearing, personal belongings went missing, and my instincts kept warning me that something was wrong. Then came the fraud alerts that confirmed my worst fear. Every purchase had been made using my employer's card, every transaction traced back to my home, and every reservation was booked under Rachel's own name. When I confronted her, she claimed I had been hacked even while shopping bags filled her room and travel confirmations sat in the trash. Instead of standing beside me, my husband called his father. Frank immediately demanded that everything stay inside the family. He begged me to cancel the fraud report and promised he would fix everything himself. What he refused to understand was that I legally could not make this disappear. The stolen card belonged to my employer, not me, and lying about what happened would destroy my career and possibly make me the criminal instead. Days later, Frank arrived carrying a cashier's check for the full amount and a carefully prepared legal document claiming Rachel had permission to use the card. All I had to do was sign my name, accept the money, and pretend none of it had happened. My employer's attorney explained the reality in simple terms. If I signed that paper, I would become responsible for the stolen money, violate company policy, and risk serious criminal charges. There was only one honest decision, but choosing it meant standing against an entire family. Instead of asking Rachel why she stole from me, everyone blamed me for reporting it. Relatives called to lecture me about loyalty. Church members preached forgiveness. Every Sunday dinner became another courtroom where facts no longer mattered and family loyalty was treated like the only truth worth protecting. As I dug deeper, I uncovered years of hidden financial disasters quietly cleaned up by Frank. Every mistake Rachel had ever made had been erased before she faced real consequences. This theft was not an accident. It was a family tradition. Then my husband finally admitted something that changed everything. Throughout his childhood, he had sacrificed his savings, sold his belongings, and given up countless opportunities to rescue his sister whenever she made another mistake. Every sacrifice was called a loan, but none of it was ever repaid. For the first time in his life, he realized he had not been helping his sister. He had been trained to protect her no matter what it cost him. As the deadline approached, Frank launched one final attempt to force my hand. He spread rumors that I had willingly loaned Rachel the company card. He even delivered another $9,000 check directly to my newspaper to make himself appear like the generous victim. Finally, he invited the entire family and their pastor to Sunday dinner, where my place setting included the cashier's check and the false statement waiting for my signature. Before dinner, Frank gave an emotional speech about forgiveness, loyalty, and keeping family problems inside the home. Then he promised that if I signed the paper, I would finally become a true daughter of the family. For months, I had wanted nothing more than to belong. But I finally understood that acceptance built on lies was never real. Instead of signing his document, I unfolded the official bank affidavit. I calmly explained that Rachel had stolen the card, that Frank had spent years protecting her from every consequence, and that his endless rescuing had only guaranteed she would never change. I reminded everyone that the truth belonged to the bank and my employer, not to me. Then I signed the affidavit with my late father's fountain pen and quietly pushed the cashier's check back across the table. Frank looked at me with heartbreak and anger before declaring I had never truly been part of the family. Rachel silently gathered her children and walked out. Then my husband stood up, ignored everyone else in the room, and simply said he was getting my coat. In that single moment, I realized I had not lost everything. I had finally found the one person willing to stand beside me without asking me to sacrifice my integrity. The investigation moved forward, and Rachel entered a diversion program instead of going to prison. She repaid every dollar, completed community service, found stable work, and for the first time in her life, faced consequences that no one could erase for her. My employer recovered the money, my reputation remained intact, and my husband began therapy to break free from the patterns that had controlled his family for decades. Today, my purse still hangs by the kitchen door exactly where it always has. The difference is that now I sleep peacefully because I finally understand something I wish I had learned years earlier. Love is not protecting people from the consequences of their choices. Love is telling the truth even when it costs you relationships. Sometimes the family you lose is the very thing keeping you from becoming the person you were always meant to be. Walking away did not destroy my life. It saved it. If there is one lesson my story taught me, it is this. Never trade your integrity for temporary peace because silence always sends the bill back later. The truth may cost you a seat at someone else's table, but it will always give you a place where you can finally live with yourself.